Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Nerdy Rich here on the Nerdy Rich channel. So, I have to do this call to action. I know, it's annoying. Another YouTuber telling us that I know. Before you even start watching whatever video this is, whether the gameplay, reviews, whatever the topic is, please go and subscribe. Subscribing is super important. It's free. You just hit the button, you hit all, and then whenever I drop a new video, you will see it, because it's a great way for you guys to see my content. Especially, I'm gonna be growing a lot throughout the new year, and I would love for you guys to be there for my journey at this YouTube channel. So I will definitely see you guys in the new year. So comment, rate, like the video, share the video with everybody, and I will catch you guys then. Enjoy the video. What is up, everybody? It's your boy Nerdy Rich here, back on the Nerdy Rich channel, and now we are at the final Star Wars movie review of the Skywalker saga, and that is Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. So this is the final movie of the sequel trilogy, and this one is a mixed bag. So let's get into the story. So after the event of the last movie, so spoilers for the last one once again, Luke Skywalker is dead. He died in the last one because he was trying to help out the rebels, and he used all of his force power in order to project himself over to fight Kylo, so to get the rebel a chance to escape the planet they were at. And of course, that ultimately led into him dying. So you have Rey continuing on with her training with Leia in order to, complete her training so that she can finally take out Kylo for good. Of course, you have Kylo and the First Order still trying to chase down the rebels, and then a lot of other stuff happens within that. Of course, Snoke is dead because Kylo killed him in the last movie, which, before I continue on with the story, that's the most stupidest thing I have seen. Snoke was set up from the first movie to obviously be the big bad of this movie, but the last director of the second one decided to kill him off, and that was stupid, because it's like, now you're gonna have to figure out a way to bring another villain back, and unfortunately the villain who they decided to bring back is of course the Emperor himself, Palpatine. So of course they bring back Emperor Palpatine. So of course they explain why he's back, and it makes sense, but it's also pretty stupid, because it's like, if you've seen the original trilogy, you know how he died. So it's like, there's kind of no way that could happen. But of course, he's always come back in some type of way. If you read the books from the Legend continuity, you know that he comes back for a bunch of different reasons. So of course, Palpatine is back. Kylo is now working for Palpatine, trying to, of course, get Rey to join them, because he needs Rey for something. And of course, they have their little back and forth and anything. And once again, they are literally, their relationship together is the best part about this movie, because everything else is just nothing. It's just literally them now trying to find the planet of the Sith in order for them to fight Palpatine, and of course they go on a journey to do it. And the big problem with this is this definitely should have been a two-parter movie. I don't always agree on two-parter movies, but this definitely should have been, like, this movie alone should have been like the second movie in the franchise, and then the last half of the movie should have been the ending stuff, because there is so much stuff that J.J. Abrams, because he returned for the final movie, had to like retcon and fix from the last movie, because he had to retcon a bunch of stuff that happens in the Last Jedi. So he had to play a lot of catch up, and you could tell there was a lot of problems, because now we finally have Finn, Poe, and Rey all in the scene together. They're all acting like a trio, like the original trio being Han, Luke, and Leia, or even in the Clone Wars era, Obi-Wan and Anakin, and then eventually Ahsoka, and it's like, it's just crazy, because these three characters hadn't been on screen together at all, and now they finally get to talk and everything, and their banter is great. I love it. I just wish that we got more of it. But of course, you have Rey in this movie is trying to rush to get to the Emperor's planet so she could take him out. And of course, you have Kylo still trying to convince her, and then Kylo's like final moments in this movie, like everything leading up to the ending of the movie, it's fantastic. I really love it. But again, this is a lot. And then of course, you still got them trying to get the last bit of find more rebel members that can ultimately help to defeat the Emperor and stuff like that. And then eventually we lead into the final battle with the Emperor and stuff like that, which is very weak as a final battle, because it's like you have Kylo in there and he does his thing with his own group of people, and it's like definitely could have been more with that. We could have got more backstory with that. Could have seen more with that. And then of course you have Rey and the Palpatine stuff, and then they retcons like Rey's whole backstory. I'm not gonna spoil it here, but they retcon that, and it's like, what was the point of that? You could have easily had it the way it was in the second movie, which I did like that the second movie did make that point about Rey, and that was like one of my favorite parts about that movie. And now you retcon it to where she's super important to the galaxy for a particular reason, and I was like, yeah, I'm not messing with that. I'm not jacking with it. And of course, Finn, he's off doing his own thing once again, still trying to help Rey get to the planet. He's still trying to help the rebels get everybody together along with Poe. And then eventually they go and help out Rey at the end. And before I end the story portion, of course, we know the actress who played Princess Leia, she did die in real life while they were filming this movie. Well, a little bit before they filmed this movie, so they were able to have like a scene to her in the movie instead of trying to have like a deep fake and then have somebody like dub over her or like somebody pretend to be her. They decided, you know what, let's let her rest in peace. And so I really did love that scene, and I love that they were able to character in a good way in the movie. But overall, I don't hate this movie, but again, it's just a mess. There's a lot of good things to hear. I love the finally getting together and do things. I love Kylo's final moments of his redemption and stuff like that. You know, just Kylo's ending to his story is like fantastic. There's a lot of good things, but again, there's a lot of things I don't like. I don't like that they have to like rush to get to the end. They have to find all these MacGuffins, these pieces to get to the final world. I'm not a fan of Palpatine coming back as the main villain, and I'm not a huge fan of the final fight at the end. It just really was it was just wasted potential. There's so much more they could have did with it, and they just went in a super safe direction. And then of course what happens in there makes no sense, and it's like that should have not happened. And then of course we get the ending of the movie, and yeah, that's pretty much it for the story wise. And that completes the sequel series in terms of its story. Let's get to the final. So Rey for the Rise of Skywalker. So in this movie, Rey is still trying to, I don't know, for some reason, still trying to figure out who she is after, you know, Kylo told her in the previous movie, like, hey, you're just a nobody. You don't have, your family was a nobody. You're just special because you just happen to be yourself. And of course, she's still trying to be like, oh, who's my real family, stuff like that. But then, of course, this movie does finally explain her lineage, and I'm not a fan of who is she connected to in this movie. I really hate that because it ruins the character, because I love the fact that they finally had a character that was born from nothing, came from nothing, and it just became this powerful Jedi on her own, and with the bonds that she had with her friends and learning from legendary masters like Luke Skywalker. She learns more with Leia and stuff like that. And of course, throughout this movie, she's still trying to fight off the dark side because she knows it's there. Kylo is still trying to push her to go into that direction at first, but of course, she eventually does pick a side, and then of course she deals with all of that. And of course, she's trying to rush in order to go to the final world to go fight Palpatine, and of course she eventually I'm mixed about their final fight. There's like little stuff I like, but I'm not a fan of the reason why they need to fight and why she's so important for this final battle. And yeah, I'm just not a fan of this version of the character. This is her worst version in the 3 movies. To me, her part 2 self is her best version, part one self is solid, and this one is just the worst because they don't answer anything new. They just kept her pretty much the same. She has no character arc, which is kind of sad because she's the main character, and I definitely wish that she did have something more. But that's it. Next is Finn. Again, another wasted character. I mean, this movie, he's just helping out the rebels, trying to fight everything. He's constantly screaming and yelling Rey's name. He's just really just nothing. The whole thing with Rose, they threw that to the garbage. That's nothing. So he doesn't really have a lot of character to play off of other than Poe and Rey. And he does get you some new characters, but that's it. There's just nothing new towards him, and it's kind of sad because he's just such an interesting. He was such an interesting character in the first movie, and then they just completely didn't go with the best option. Would have been him becoming a Jedi with Rey, and he could easily help Rey, fight out the temptation and go into the dark side because she has a friend in the light side, and that could have been a great thing between Rey trying to fight out the light, fight in the fight continue with the light with Finn, and then try to fight out the darkness with Kylo. There's so much interesting thing they could have did with his character, but of course they didn't. And that's it. Poe in this movie, he has cool moments. Once again, he's still funny, still everything, but he doesn't really have much else. He does have his final moments with Leia, and that's really it. I mean, then he just helps to try to get the rest of the rebels to help out for the final battle, and that's pretty much it. Really nothing. Kylo Ren in this movie. Kylo Ren in this movie is the best character in this movie because he finally finishes development. He finally decides what side he wants to be on. He finally sees and understands why he became the person that he was. He was manipulated by Palpatine, and I like that he does try to challenge Palpatine on multiple different occasions. And of course, I love love a lot of his moments in the movie. The one thing I'm not a fan of is how he ultimately went out in this movie. I feel like it's dumb. I feel like he definitely should have had more to do in the future of the franchise, just to him redeem himself for everything he has done up to that point. But of course, they ultimately don't, and it's just really sad. And the last character I'm really going to talk about is Palpatine himself. Palpatine is unfortunately brought back. We find out he's still alive. We find out he was created from a clone. We find out he's the one who was manipulating Kylo Ren to become the person that we all know him to be throughout the rest of the franchise. And he's just trying to use him in order to get Rey, because we find out Rey is his relationship. And he's just basically just trying to do what he usually trying to get for immortality. He's trying not to die. And we also find out that he created Snoke, which I hated that plot line. It's like, really? I would understand if Snoke was like a secret apprentice of him. That would have been perfectly fine. But just having him just be a failed clone of him, but then he used that failed clone in order to get Kylo to join the dark side is really dumb. I hate the way that he ultimately gets defeated at the end of the movie. I thought that was very dumb and cheesy. He was just so unnecessary because he had no build up through the other two movies to indicate that he was supposed to be the final villain. And I just wish that he did stick with Snoke, because Snoke was such a better villain for this new trilogy. Palpatine was great for the earlier parts of the franchise because we had multiple different takes with him. We had multiple different ways to see how he ultimately became the person that we all know and love. But that was the problem with these trilogies, is that they had a big villain problem. It was supposed to be Kylo to be the main villain. Then you had Snoke, who was supposed to be the master and the main villain, but then you killed him off in the last movie, and now you got this. So overall, Palpatine was just not good. He's an iconic villain, but he couldn't even save this movie. Like, he was just not well written at all. And that's all I really gotta say about this movie. This movie is the worst Star Wars movie. There's just nothing towards it. I just dislike a lot of things. There's no new interesting ideas. This movie felt like it should have been a two-parter, because they go on this journey and everything like that, and then the next second, they are fighting Palpatine, and then that whole big thing happened. I mean, they really just dropped the ball with this one. That's why I said J.J. Abrams should have just stayed on the full trilogy, and then maybe we could have had at least a better trilogy, because we would have all his idea, but of course we know that never happened. So overall, That's all I gotta say. Hope you guys enjoy. Comment, rate, subscribe as always. I'll catch you guys later. This is your boy Nerdy Rich signing out, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.